It's the appointed time and we've formed a quorum, so let's call the meeting to order. First, this is the first meeting of the Bills Committee on Road, Tunnels, Government Amendment Bill 2017, election of chairman. In accordance with Appendix 4 of the House Rules, let's nominate a chairman. So a valid nomination has to be made orally by a member and seconded orally at least by another member and accepted by the nominee. Nominations, please. Mr. Ronnick Chan. I nominate Dr. Low Wai Kwok. Any seconder? Seconded by Mr. Charles Mock. Dr. Low Wai Kwok, do you accept the nomination? Yes, I do. Okay. Any other nomination? I'll count up to 3. 1, 2, 3. Okay. Dr. Low was elected as chairman of the Bills Committee. Thank you, members. So do we need to elect a deputy chairman? Any views? No need. If not, then let's go into the agenda proper. So please invite the administration team to join us. This is the Bills Committee on Road, Tunnels, Government Amendment Bill 2017. We all understand that this bill is a very technical one, and that is because the Tates Khan Tunnel, TCT, will vest in the government soon, and the bill provides for the takeover. As for wider policy issues, including the toll levels, rationalization of traffic, diversions of traffic, I believe that you are all concerned about that. But I don't think we will discuss this. That should be taken up by the panel itself. I believe that this is an issue of concern to members and the public alike, but I have to set that out clearly up front because the Bills Committee is just looking at the bill. This is our work objective. Now, let me give you briefly. On the 5th of July, the DHB issued a legislative brief, and the file reference is DHB bracket TCR1/1/4651/94. And also the Legal Service Division Report, LC paper number LS98/1617, and the background brief provided by the Electrical Secretariat, LC paper number CB bracket 4154/1718 bracket 05. On the legal and drafting aspects of the bill, please members may like to take reference from the correspondence between the Assistant Legal Advisor and the Administration, LC paper number CB bracket 4154/1718 bracket 03 and bracket 04. The administrating team attending the meeting comprises Ms. Ivy Law, Deputy Secretary Transport; Mr. Tony Lee, Principal Assistant Secretary Transport; and Manuel Senior Government Counsel; Ms. Stella Lee, Assistant Commissioner for Transport; Ms. Vivian Kwan, Chief Transport Officer; and Mr. Alfred Lam, the Chief Engineer. Thank you for coming. So can I now invite the representatives of the administration to brief members on the bill, and then I will invite questions from members. The Deputy Secretary, please. Good morning, members. Good morning, Chairman. I'll brief you on the content of the bill. The franchise of TCT will expire in July, and then it will vest in the government. The bill provides for the management and operation of the TCT after it has been handed over to the government. It will provide the legal backing for that. There will be no change to the operation, and the toll level will not be affected, and all the signs and restrictions will not be affected. As what the chairman said, this is very much a technical exercise. We will include TCT under the Road Tunnels Government Ordinance, and say the removal fee and permit fee applicable to other government tunnels will also apply to TCT. We will also be adding in exemption clauses to allow for vehicles conveying dangerous goods to use government tunnels, including the TCT. So much for my briefing here. Thank you. So members, Mr. Ronnie Chan first, 5 minutes. My question is very simple. It may not take 5 minutes. This question may not be directly related to traffic. Earlier on, several members of the LegCo visited the Hang Seng Management College. That college told us that the piece of land adjoining to the college is the TCT's land. So after the TCT vests in the government, does it mean that all the land and assets under TCT will also vest in the government? If, say, a tertiary education institution like Hang Seng would like to have its campus expansion and would like to seek land from the government, will it be talking to the government in the future instead of talking to the company as it will have to do now? Deputy Secretary, thank you, Mr. Chan. Under the TCT ordinance, land plots delineated as under the TCT and their access. Well, after July next year, they will vest in the government. I don't have information on the plot referred to by Mr. Chan. I can't tell you categorically whether it's under the TCT ordinance. Generally speaking, I would say yes. And in that case, it will vest in the government too. Well, if that is the case, can the government check the information after the meeting? Because that may be taken up in the future by the Development Bureau or the Education Bureau. On the specific location, maybe after the meeting, that can be studied into. And the DS, please follow up with Mr. Chan. Any other member? Any questions? Mr. Ma Fong Kwok, 5 minutes. The government has briefed us on the situation after the takeover. You say the toll levels will remain unchanged for the time being. I've been saying this all along. If the government is to take over these tunnels one by one, you have to reconsider the overall traffic planning. In the extreme case, you may consider not collecting toll at all at these tunnels so that the traffic can be made smoother, or you use the tolls as an instrument to control the traffic flow so that the traffic all over Hong Kong can be made smoother. Now, next year you will take over the tunnel. I think you should be thinking about that now. Do you have any plans in that regard? Thank you, Mr. Ma, for your question. At the outset of the meeting, I said that the Bills Committee is actually dealing with a very technical bill on wider traffic issues that should be taken up at other occasions. But since this is the first meeting, maybe the DS can tell us what they are doing now. I believe they have an answer, and I believe that that will also be discussed at panel meetings later. Thank you. Mr. Ma, yes, we agree that we need to look at the rationalization of traffic distribution among the different tunnels. Right now, the government is working on the 3 cross-harbor tunnels and also the 3 land tunnels between Kowloon and Sha Tin, including TCT, Lion Rock Tunnel, and Route 8K, and also 3 RHCs. Road harbor crossings. A total of 6 tunnels are involved. In the November meeting of the traffic panel, we will brief you and consult members based on the preliminary information that we have. Now, after we've collected your views and views of stakeholders, in June and July next year, we will be presenting a plan on traffic distribution among these tunnels for your further discussion. Let me add, for the transport panel, on the meeting at the 17th of November, there is an item on the reasonable distribution of traffic among the 3 land tunnels and the 3 RHCs, and there will be a preliminary study on the toll levels. And I believe that we will also follow up on the overall transport policy. So please try to attend the meeting as much as possible. Mr. Ma, well, you've taken up so much of my time. I am not a member of the transport panel. I joined this bills committee because I would like to find out more. And I would like to remind the government that this is a very important issue. So I hope that the government can give me an answer. I know that that will definitely be discussed, but this is a very good opportunity for us to discuss it here. I joined this bills committee mainly because I wanted to ask that question. Reminder to members, even if you are not an official member of a certain panel, you're welcome to attend the panel meeting if you find that you are interested in a particular item to be discussed. I believe that the chairman of the relevant panel will allow non-panel members to ask questions. Any further question? Mr. Michael Look. Thank you, Chairman. This bill, well, used to be operated on BOT and it will vest in the government. I'm concerned about the impact on the staff of the TCT. Earlier, I talked to the TD about this, and I wonder what the latest development is. I'm raising my concern again today, and I hope that the TD and the THB can ensure that staff of TCT will have the same remuneration as in the past, despite the change. Now, a lot of staff have worked from the very day when the TCT was commissioned, and they're a very stable staff force. They have worked there for a long time. So how will the government protect their rights after the takeover? Thank you. Now on management of tunnels. Generally speaking, we will issue an open tender to appoint a management company, and in the tender document, we will point out clearly that the bidder, the successful bidder, will give priority to employing the original staff members on the existing terms and conditions. So they must employ the existing staff in order to get the bill or to win the bid. So can I defer to Ms. Lee to elaborate? As what the DS said, to ensure the smooth handover of the TCT, in our tender documents, we have added in the terms that the bidder should give priority to employing frontline staff in the operation and maintenance department on existing terms and conditions, and that includes 119 staff members, taking up 88% of all staff force. And for the successful bidder, it must also, within the specified time limit, around 1 month, tell the offer to the existing staff the priority employment arrangement. Well, when you talk about the existing package, does it include the leave entitled to them? Because the experienced staff usually have long leave periods. In our tender documents, we are writing the terms based on the existing package, including 12 months pay and also 1 month's bonus, and also the other benefits, including the leave days, etc., will also be included.
And it should be the same or no less favorable than the benefits and conditions before. And proposals that offer better fringe benefits would score higher marks in our evaluation. Well, if you switch to another management company, then that means that the terms of service would go back to 0 because it is a different company. But then the employees might have accumulated many leave days from their previous contract. So would they be able to continue to use that in the under the new management company? Or after we pick the new management company, we will be able to discuss with them the way forward. But when we evaluate the tender, we would look at the entire package to ensure that there would be more provisions and benefits. Thank you. Any other questions? If you have no other questions, we can go through the clause by clause scrutiny. Let's use the markup copy, which is CB 41547/1718 bracket 02. Who would take us through the bill? Oh, everyone left. Well, it's okay. We still have a couple of members left. Can I leave too? I think it's best if you stay because we do have to scrutinize the bill. And I also have to consult you to see if we need to schedule a meeting with deputations. Oh, there is no need because this is just a technical amendment. The public are very concerned with toll levels and other issues, but it is not under the road tunnels amendment bill. So yes, I do agree that we don't need to schedule a meeting with deputations. Yes, may I now invite Mr. Lam to Mr. Lee to take us through the bill. Well, I think we should go through the marked up copy. First of all, in Schedule 1, to add in to make it applicable to TCT. All right, no comment for this. Page 2, there is not much difference, so it's only under interpretation. Then page 3, to add in a clause saying that without prejudice to paragraph 1, the authority may, for the purposes of regulating and controlling traffic, display the tunnel area of the TCT, a traffic sign of the type shown in figure number 17 or number 23 prescribed in Schedule 1. All right. It's a technical amendment. Page 4, same, also technical amendment to add in 1C and 1D. Page 5, to add in subject to paragraphs 2 and 3 instead of only paragraph 2. So that is in relation to the prohibition against vehicles conveying dangerous goods. All right. Next page, page 6. To add in clause 3, 4, 5 that paragraph 1 does not apply in relation to a specified vehicle if it is being moved in an emergency in accordance with the conditions of a permission granted by the authority for the vehicle. And for the purposes of paragraph 3, the authority may permit a specified vehicle to be moved in a tunnel in an emergency subject to any conditions that the authority considers appropriate. And this also specifies that specified vehicle means a vehicle that falls within the description of paragraph 1b, c, d, or e. Any questions from members? Our legal advisor has some questions. If I could refer members to dangerous goods category 1, 2, and 5. Now the government adding in the new clauses 3, 4, 5 only regulates categories 2 and 5. So I want to ask why this does not include category 1 under the prohibition against vehicles conveying dangerous goods. And if it does not include category 1, then after this amendment, vehicles of under categories 1 would not be able to use any of these tunnels. Oh, this is a very important matter. I would like to take this opportunity to ask the government to elaborate more on this change. Thank you. I would like to try to explain to you the amendments made to the categories of dangerous vehicles of dangerous goods. Category 1 refers to blasted explosive and blasting agents, and they are prohibited from being conveyed into any of the government tunnels under the regulations. Only fire services vehicles, ambulances, police vehicles may be exempted in the course of urgent duty. So we do not have any plans to include this category. And for dangerous goods of category 2 and 5, they would be allowed to use for urgent duty, and we're talking about medical dangerous goods such as medical oxygen, liquefied petroleum gas, diesel fuel, and petroleum. For cross-harbor conveyances, they would mainly use seatime delivery, seaway delivery, and during inclement weather, then it may have an impact on those living on Hong Kong Island. And during this time, they would need to use the Western Harbour Tunnel. Western Harbour Tunnel is operated by a private company, and the government believes that it is not the best way forward. Therefore, this time we are making amendments to the Road Tunnels Government Amendment that in case of emergency and with the approval of the Transport Department, then dangerous goods of categories 2 and 5 will be able to use these tunnels. And this would only happen in the course of urgent duty. For example, when seaway passage cannot be used. Thank you. Any other questions? Mr. Yik? Or for the cross-harbor tunnel and other government tunnels, do they already include such amendments? Thank you, Mr. Yik, for your question. Yes, it would be included under this amendment because a cross-harbor tunnel and Eastern Harbor crossing are now vested in the government currently. And with this amendment, it would also be applicable to these tunnels. Before the cross-harbor tunnel was vested in the government, this was included in their regulation as well. Any follow-up questions from the legal advisor? Well, on the handling of dangerous goods, I also have another question for the government. I would like members to take note that under 19 of TCT regulation, then So they can, for vehicles that convey categories under 3, 4, 6, 7, 8, 10, they could still use TCT under certain periods. But we do, and they can use it during specified hours. Under 11A, there is similar regulations, but then 11A right now can only be used for Cross Harbor Tunnel and Eastern Harbor crossing. So 11A will not be applicable to TCT. So I have 2 questions for the government. First of all, why is there no amendment made to Regulation 11A of the regulations? And if there is no amendment made in 11A, it seems that in future, for the conveyance of dangerous goods, we'll be able to use TCT in the future. Is that the original intention of the government? DS, please. Thank you for your question. For dangerous goods of categories 3, 4, 6, and 10, in accordance to the schedule of CAP 295A, it should not exceed the maximum capacity of the conveyance of dangerous goods, so they would not be restricted during conveyances. As the legal advisor said, currently for CHT and EHC, there needs to be they need to be granted permission. But for other land tunnels such as Lions Rock Tunnel, there are no such restrictions. And as TCT is already vested in the government, we believe that TCT as a land tunnel should be regulated similar to other land tunnels, and we do not think that there would be a major issue. Therefore, there is no amendment of 11A. Well, so no changes are made to 11A, which means that for TCT, they would follow the arrangements for other government land tunnels, and therefore not incorporated into Regulation 11A of the regulations. Legal advisor, any other follow-up questions? No, thank you. All right, that explains it. All right, let us continue with the clause-by-clause scrutiny. All right, let us move on to page 7. We are including 3A. No questions, right? Page 8, we are including the 1D. It's a technical amendment. Page 9, for tunnels other than Cross Harbor Tunnel, for Part 1, other than being applicable to Cross Harbor Tunnel and Eastern Harbor Crossing, we would also include Tate's Tunnel. All right, so this change must be made. Therefore, on page 10, Part 3A listed out the current tolls for TCT. And this would continue to be applicable. Now, this is a technical matter. TCT toll will be included in the bill, but it doesn't mean that the toll will remain unchanged. The government continues to review the toll levels. Page 13. We included the removal fee of TCT. And that is consistent with the other government tunnels. Page 14, to include the permit fee which is also in accordance with other government tunnels.
No problem. And then page 15, we're adding in savings, transitional, and consequential provisions. And we've added in sections 25, and that is to repeal the TCT ordinance and its subsidiary legislation. And section 26, that we will add in Schedule 3, and that is applies to the transitional and savings provision for TCT. All right. Schedule 3 is listed in page 16. It includes interpretations, provision, savings for royalty payments, magistrates' ordinance, and if offences were committed before the takeover, then we can still take our prosecution in accordance with this ordinance after the takeover. Okay, any further question? Page 17, again, these are the savings provisions. Say, if within the tunnel, driving offences involving deduction of driving offence points were committed before the takeover, then these matters could still be pursued after the takeover. Section 5 is transitional arrangements for certain traffic signs. Well, the signs listed under TCT ordinance will again apply after the takeover, and they will be equivalent to the government road tunnels government ordinance. Section 6 says that Schedule 3 not in derogation of Section 23 of Interpretation in General Clauses Ordinance. Okay. Page 18. We are deleting the provisions under the specification of public offices in relation to duties to be undertaken by the Commissioner for Transport. Page 19 has to do with the Prevention of Bribery Ordinance. Originally, the TCT company was a designated public body under the POBO. So after the takeover, that will have to be taken out. Of course, that has to be amended. Page 20 has to do with Schedule 3, the Magistration Ordinance. And in the third schedule, we would again delete the clause that sets TCT will come under that ordinance. That's understandable. Okay, page 21. Relates to offences specified for the purpose of Section 72(2)(a). Because of the CT being vested in the government, some sections are not applicable anymore, and those are 30, 33A and 33D and 34. Okay, page 22, Road Traffic Driving Offence Points Ordinance. We will be deleting the specified offences under the TCT bylaws. So, based on the same rationale, we have to these have to be deleted. The same goes for 23, 24. The composition of the Transport FC of the electrical ordinance. Originally, the TCT company was a body under that FC, so that has to be deleted as well. That's a natural thing to do. Page 25. And that has to do with the resolution of the electrical of the road traffic driving offence points ordinance. And some numbers have to be changed. Page 26. Repealing earlier amendments to road traffic ordinance. We would delete Schedule 11, and a reference number 34 has to be repealed. No comment. Page 27, again. Page 27. That has to do with the earlier resolution of the electrical in relation to amendment to road traffic driving offence points ordinance, and that has to do with GCT. Those have to be repealed as well. So for the English version, the corresponding changes will also be made. Legal advisor, any further views? Members, please note that we don't have any particular comment on the English version of the bill. I think all these amendments are very necessary, and they're rather straightforward. No need for further discussion here. Members, any other views on the text of the bill? If not, then, well, we've completed the scrutiny very quickly. Just now we said that there is no need to invite the public to give their views or hold a public hearing. So if that is the case, we are done with all the business on hand. If there is no further questions, or unless there are unforeseen circumstances arising, I don't think there is a need to hold a second meeting. So when will we resume the second reading debate? Well, thank you, members, for handling the technical amendments so efficiently. We would promptly introduce the bill for second reading. The effective date is the 18th of July 2018. So that is really the 11th of July 2018, rather. We do have enough time. That is a date when the franchise expires. Well, we've been very efficient. Thank you. AOB? Mr. Junior, so, well, a very nosy question, I would say. For this, this bill, this is just routine. How many BOT tunnels will have their franchise expiring soon? Yes, 2. One is Western Harbour Crossing, the other is Thailand. For WHC, the franchise will expire in 2023, and for Thailand is 2025. Thank you. Members have 2 specific questions. One raised by Mr. Rennie Chan about the land plots, and the other one, Mr. Michael Look, about protection for staff members. Can you provide the relevant response after the meeting? Yes. If there is no AOB, meeting adjourned. Thank you.